Yesterday, we talked about Brian Harpole, the security guy who was not convincing at all. And he basically said, we didn't have drones because looking at the rooftops, because I wasn't allowed to have drones, right? We just were not allowed to have drones that day. A lot of you emailed us and said that was a lie, actually. Again, going back to the early interviews that a lot of TPUSA people gave Frank Turk, who was with Charlie on the day that he died, with Charlie in the hospital, and carried Charlie into the waiting SUV, he told Megyn Kelly something different about drones on that day.
Welcome back to the Jimmy Dore Show. My name is James Lee. I'm guest hosting for Jimmy today, here with Kurt Metzger. And speaking of Candace Owens, I think she is basically single-handedly destroying every single lie that is coming out of the TPUSA cast of characters that are up there spinning all kinds of various narratives, and now we know to be lies, because most recently we've had Brian Harpole go on the Sean Ryan show. Sean Ryan, who I think is a Fed. I don't know if people
what? Why? Just because he ran a drug network in Colombia for the CIA?
I don't know. Do you remember? Do you remember earlier this year when he had on some CIA person? I can't remember who it was, about the cyber truck blowing up. We still don't know what that was about.
Yes, I am dying to get an answer about what in the hell that was about, because he went on a trip and he goes, "Oh, it's getting bad, guys," and then next thing you know, he was back doing a show like nothing happened.
Yeah, that was
that guy. They smeared that guy up and down too.
But recently he had on Brian Harpole, who is the head of security for Charlie Kirk, who talked about why there wasn't certain security measures taking place, such as flying drones and such. So let's hear from him as far as that explanation goes.
Of dollars on drones last year, and got the guy's license. But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school, but I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason. And so now the school could have blown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them. Right. But Orem PD has a drone unit, active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get it. They were there. They helped both on the soft side and the hard side. And so I started asking questions like, "You guys have a drone unit?" Yeah, good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, "Yeah." And I said, "Did they call you and ask for assistance?" No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call? And then so, that's one. So I can't go in and break the law. I can't make my guys break the law. I can't go in and do something that would jeopardize their.
Do you have any idea why they would say no? I mean, was this malicious? Was this being malicious?
I don't know if no's the right one. I would say, did you ask? Did you ask this awesome PD that would probably help you in a heartbeat? Did you have an MOU with? Did you even ask them? And the answer was, from them, we didn't get asked. We didn't get asked. And then so table the drones, which would have been awesome. Absolutely. I believe in them, but I can't break the law to do it. We're out there not only protecting them physically, but I have to protect the reputation of the client also. And that's a whole separate thing of protection. So the drones would have been awesome, but I can't break the law. They could have used them. They chose not to.
So apparently, evidently, allegedly, no drones were allowed, as Mr. Brian Harpole says, right? He doesn't want to break the law. He can't break the law. Well, it turns out he is potentially, I would say, maybe lying here. Let's listen to Candace's investigation.
Yesterday, we talked about Brian Harpole, the security guy who was not convincing at all. And he basically said, we didn't have drones because looking at the rooftops, because I wasn't allowed to have drones, right? We just were not allowed to have drones that day. A lot of you emailed us and said that was a lie, actually. Again, going back to the early interviews that a lot of TPUSA people gave Frank Turk, who was with Charlie on the day that he died, with Charlie in the hospital, and carried Charlie into the waiting SUV, he told Megyn Kelly something different about drones on that day. Take a listen.
And in fact, when we were driving into that event, This is the first event I've gone to a college campus with Charlie. He said, Frank, if you can come help me the first couple of days, could you stay an extra day and come with me to the first event? I said, of course. So we're driving in, Megan, and his team has drones up looking at the crowd from above, and they text him some video. And there's thousands of people there an hour before the start. And I said, Charlie.
Okay. So it sounds like there were drones, and I did try to, okay, so I was like, okay, maybe he misspoke, whatever. No, there was drone footage. I found it. Here it is. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Here's hats being thrown out. You can see the little amphitheater that they have there at UVU. You could probably see the top of the Losi Center right there with this shot.
Yeah. Also, I bet if you were on the ground, you could look up and see if there's a guy on the roof with a gun, if that was your job to do that, you know, even if you couldn't use a drone.
Well, so, I mean, my theory is that it probably didn't come from that particular rooftop. That's what I still say in that whole situation, is that it's not possible that it was the one thing that people keep ignoring, right? Because people say, oh, the Egyptian planes, this and that. I'm like, okay, I don't care about all that. Let's go back to just regular physics, you know, with a 30-06. I've seen so many videos on this. I have yet to see one expert marksman or sniper or hunter be able to produce what we saw in terms of the gruesome public execution. That amount of damage is not compatible with that type of weapon. It's just not physically possible.
Yeah, of course. Also, Pastor Rob McCoy, with his nonsense story about his son was covered. His son, who was walking a dot in the distance on his phone, was covered in blood. Every one of them is telling lies every single time. By the way, Pastor McCoy, you know who his dad is, right? Roy McCoy, the retired Navy intel. He's chief of staff for psychological warfare in the Navy in 1952. So the great generation as McCoy is involved in all kinds of great things.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of just covering our bases here, somebody actually looked up what the UVU policy was around the drone, flying a drone over UVU, because he's like, oh, this is some airspace that just prohibited this and that. Here's what it actually says. It says, those seeking authorization to operate a UAS on university property must submit a request for authorization to operate a UAS/drone on UVU property, available on the Office Risk Management website, to the Office of Risk Management. This request shall include an acknowledgement that authorized pilots of UAS on university property must comply with this policy, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, yes, you can do it. You just have to apply for a permit to do it. And it looks like maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I mean, there were actual drones up there, so we just saw. So I don't know what they're going on about with these lies, because they're being easily debunked, not just by Candace Owens, just by people online saying, you know, you just literally said something different last week, that you just said there was a bunch of drones up there that you guys were flying. So what is going on here? Does anybody actually buy did anybody actually buy that interview with Sean Ryan? I don't know. Did that work? I mean, I don't understand. There's all these like Joe Rogans that came out of nowhere all of a sudden, you know? They're all like, supposedly Sean Ryan's been around for a while, but he's, you know, he's a former Navy. And he also had in that, I don't have the clip, but he also asked, what is a patsy? You know, some say he was just playing dumb, but I'm like, well,
he probably is doing it. I mean, I could see that being the people at home that have never. Well, then
you would just say that. You would just say, okay, for everybody at home, just clarify, what do you mean by a patsy versus what is a patsy? You know,
what is it?
I think Joe Rogan could say that. You know, a patsy is
Jamie. Look that up.
Yeah. What is a patsy? So I thought that was particularly kind of dumb coming from you had that chick on from the CIA that was talking about how ISIS has snuck in the country and Al Qaeda. Oh, they made it in the White House. Did someone tell that brave CIA woman? Yeah.
Oh man, Al Qaeda's in the White House shaking Trump's hand.
So this is the TPUSA verified lies. This is from Candace here. So the amazing, heroic Mikey McCoy had blood all over him. You just talked about that. No blood, right? He just literally picked up his phone, walked away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for whatever reason, we don't know, right? We don't know how people respond to tragedy. That's what they say. It's that he was kicking it in, you know, he was kicked into gear, and he's like, I got to do what I got to do.
My friend's been shot. I immediately called my dad and told him to call some other guys to pray. That's what you did. Okay. I guess that'll help.
Number 2, Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. I'm not sure where this lie comes from. I don't actually know about this one. But in terms, this is a bizarre one. I haven't done enough research to really understand number 2, but 3 just brought it up, right? Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet because he ate salad and had strong bones. It was a modern day Christian miracle.
Was the salad part of their thing? I don't remember hearing that.
Well, he said he had very strong bones, calcium, content or whatever percentage in his bones. Bizarre. Number 4, Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. Right, Josh Hammer talked about that. I know
that's a lie.
That's a lie, right? He was saying, I might have to break with the pro-Israel cause, or might have to abandon the pro-Israel cause.
Until he died, in a few weeks from having my friends Dave Smith on, who I keep blaming for his death publicly, and Dave doesn't like it, but I do it.
Wait, why are you blaming Dave Smith for his death?
I just say he got it because he went on TPUSA. He was there at the event, and they didn't want
Dave Smith was there.
Not the shooting, at the what Charlie.
At the July, the conference. Okay,
right. Yeah. So they right after that, it's nonstop. The Laura Loomer of the world. Why don't you just admit you're anti-Semitic because you had the Jew Dave Smith, Dave Jewish, by the way. Why are you? And they were nonstop what an anti-Semite he is, and all he had done was allow, like, Charlie offered up maybe the most tepid public criticism of Israel by any standard that's reasonable. And they were all over him, how he's a scumbag anti-Semite, up until he suddenly was dead. And then they're like, he loved Israel. And then, it got a little more suspicious.
There was that mural that went up within the day of his death. And I said, you guys, are you sure you didn't know anything about this? Right? You guys literally painted a mural in less than a day. Massive mural in Tel Aviv.
Oh my God, really? Oh, that's not a good sign. Okay.
I put it into Grok and I just said, given the size of this mural, how long would it take? And Grok was like, well, for a proficient, artist, it would take about 7 to 10 days. Like,
so wait, Rob McCoy, who's Andrew Colvett? I don't really know who that is.
So Andrew Colvett is the producer. He's the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show.
Oh, okay.
He's that guy. So
and we're currently missing those SD cards they took, the camera that was there that he took down. I don't remember why he
that
took
one.
it.
That was, I think, Tyler Bauer. That's coming up next on number 6. But number 5, the magnificent Mikey McCoy called his father first. So that was evidently a lie because Erica came out and said, no, she got the call immediately the minute of the assassination.
The records went to her. He called her. That's what the records say.
Yes. And then he called his dad. Obviously, we don't really know the order. We do know that he was not covered in blood, so that was an absolute lie. There was also this thing about the SD card, right? Told to remove the camera. There was the cameras that was behind Charlie that would have pretty much captured everything that was removed by Tyler Boyer. The SD card that was also disappeared. Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk never had any bad blood between them. That's obviously not true now, we know. Charlie establishing Doge was not unusual. So this was referring to the audit that Charlie Kirk ordered.
Tyler Bauer was going to be caught up in, was he not?
Yes, possibly. We don't know. Allegedly, Turning Point has submitted Turning Point has financially audited the company every year since its inception. So that's really not out of the ordinary. Mikey McCoy was the hero of that day. Yeah. So there's been a lot of lies, and it's so easy to sort of debunk these lies. I don't know if this is something that, they didn't expect to happen, right? Maybe they thought it was, I guess, 1963 still, because I'm sure after JFK was shot, everybody had similar questions as to what the hell actually happened, how many shots there were, how did the bullets do what they did, how is it possible it was one bullet? But we didn't have this kind of virality or information sharing ecosystem that we do now.
Well, they planned for it, you can see, because there's 4 or 5 plausible explanations of where the shot came from, and at least 4 or 5 suspicious people that they've caught on camera, that it's specifically designed for the people to argue over how the method that it was done and forget about the overall picture of why it was done. It wasn't a furry, a disgruntled furry. I don't buy it. I think I know who did it, and I can't prove it, but if I had to guess, there's a certain, well, let's call them best friend / aircraft carrier of ours in the Middle East that does shit like this all the time.
Well, so that's the big contention. That's got me in trouble. I was last week's, and I think there's a new person this week, but last week's recipient of Anti-Semite of the Year. I don't know if you knew that, but that was
you're the Anti-Semite of the year.
No, sorry, not of the year. That was Candace last year. Sorry, of the week. Of the week.
Oh,
yeah, no,
well,
I'm nowhere close to of the year. I am nowhere.
No, you beat Nick Fuentes.
Oh,
that's right. He said Israel didn't do it.
I think he was a finalist. I think it was like Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and Candace. I believe she won.
If you publicly exonerate Israel of this murder, then you can be with the good people and you can work your way back like our friend is.
I was day one. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was having dinner with people in the Senate, and she said immediately people in the Senate, Intel agency, or no, the Senate Intel committee were saying that, maybe it was Israel. So regardless of whether
I know anybody in the know is saying that privately, 100%. That's why it's so funny. If whatever, I just go on the next one. I mean, if people can't see the shit, they're not going to see it. If you haven't looked it up, I don't dwell on Twitter no more because people are so dumb, or they're fake, or they're hired by it. That's all that's left.
Officer Tatum. Have you looked at Officer Tatum?
Yeah, I've harassed him with AI.
Come see me on tour in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Waikiki, Hawaii, and the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.